Canada is absolutely furious at Donald Trump and his gangster regime. Of course, Canada's now moved on. They don't view the United States as an ally or a partner or a friend anymore, and for good reason. And Canada is responding now to Donald Trump's and his regime's war crimes off the coast of Venezuela. We hear from individuals like Charlie Angus of Meidas, Canada, the way Canadians are discussing these despicable war crimes taking place. Charlie Angus, again, who leads Meidas Canada, contextualizes it in the history of other war crimes during World War II. He talks about how Canada and the United States, of course, have been allies in World War II and World War I and throughout history. And now the perspective of Canada seeing the United States as this essentially Nazi fascist regime is something that Charlie Angus and Canadians never could fathom. But that's the reality right now and the dynamic that exists, unfortunately. Charlie Angus from Meidas Canada, take it away, sir.
These extrajudicial killings are very serious. These are war crimes. They're crimes against even the United States military code. But what was really concerning was how Hegseth, when he was challenged on this, he put out this imitation cartoon of the Franklin cartoon. Now, Franklin is a Canadian cartoon character that children love, and Franklin teaches kids how to be nice and how to be good neighbors, and instead Hegseth turns Franklin into this happy, murderous killer, killing people who are defenseless. You know, Adam Sewer wrote the book about Trump, that cruelty is the point, and he writes that once malice is embraced as virtue, it is impossible to contain. What we're seeing with in this age of gangsters is that the crimes that have been committed by military in the past are now being bragged about and celebrated on social media. And it's about dehumanizing our enemy, and it's about embracing the cruelty and the viciousness, and also laughing at the fact that these are breaches of international law. You know, there was a photograph I saw when I went to the Museum of Terror in Berlin that really struck me, that shocked me, and I thought about it for a long time. And it's about German soldiers, male and female, at Auschwitz in 1942, singing and laughing. And you're seeing this photograph of people who are completely disconnected from the fact that they're running the world's most notorious murder camp. And I thought about that photograph a long time, and the dehumanizing nature of the violence that allows people on one hand to hang out and have a good time, and on the other hand go in and pull people off the trains and murder them. Daniel Goldhagen, in his book on Hitler's willing executioners, his claim was that the reason this was possible was because the Germans had some innate murderous anti-Semitism. It was something in the German character. And he wrote about the German police battalions that did the horrific mass shootings in the Ukraine and Eastern Europe, and took photographs and didn't seem to think it was a big issue. I think Goldhagen's thesis is just wrong. And we see it's wrong because it's been proven wrong by subsequent atrocities, and nowhere has it been proven more than in Israel, where we see soldiers of the IDF who come from all manner of ordinary backgrounds in Gaza doing selfies, involved in mass killings of civilians, killings of children. I think one of the most frightening things that really shook me up, and it literally made me rethink everything I thought about the world, was the murder of that 6-year-old girl, Hind Rajab, who was in a car with her family trying to escape the bombing. Her family were murdered in the car. She was left alone. She was on the phone begging people to come and help her. And every time someone from the Red Crescent tried to come and help her, Israeli sharpshooters killed him. The Euro-Mediterranean Peace Monitor investigated and ruled it a planned execution. The murder of a family and the murder of a child, this kind of dehumanizing violence is becoming the face of the era of gangster threat. We see it with Putin in Ukraine. We see it with Netanyahu in Gaza. And now we're seeing it with the United States under Donald Trump. Lieutenant Colonel Beni Aharon, his name has been brought forward to the International Criminal Court for the allegations that he ordered the killing of this young girl and her family. And this is a thing that Hegseth and the rest of them need to understand. The work of the criminal court goes on. Donald Trump is trying in his deal with Putin, the capitulation agreement he's trying to foster on the world, is to claim that after this illegal invasion and after all these killings and the stealing of children, that the world will somehow agree to let Putin and the war crimes go unanswered, just like he thinks that that's going to happen in Gaza. No, sometimes it takes years, sometimes it takes decades, many decades, but the work of the International Criminal Court must go on, and it must go on in Russia, it must go on in Gaza. And that brings us to Pete Hegseth and the killing of these civilians. We don't know who they are. We don't know what they did. We don't know if it was a drug bust or not. And what kind of drug bust? You just blow people up without even stopping and searching.
Ever have one of those days where you're juggling 1,000 things and by the time the sun goes down, the last thing you want is a hangover the next morning? Same here. That's why I've started reaching for Willie's THC-infused social tonic, because honestly, sometimes you just need to unwind without the regrets. For me, Willie's is the perfect weekday alcohol alternative. Whether I'm relaxing after a long day or trying to get into a creative zone, this is the one that actually works. Unlike some of those non-alcoholic drinks that promise a buzz but don't deliver, Willie's gives you an uplifting, euphoric feeling, and you feel it in about 15 minutes. Plus, it's made by the Willie Nelson, so of course it's got that chill, peaceful energy built in. It's low calorie, low sugar, comes in 5 milligram or 10 milligram doses, and that subtle tropical citrus flavor is perfect whether you sip it over ice or toss it in a mocktail. One shot of Willie's helps you relax, unwind, and de-stress. Perfect for taking the edge off at the end of a long day or socializing with friends, Willie's offers the kind of feeling that makes good company even better. Willie's sold out 3 times in the first 6 months with over 50,000 plus happy customers, and they just restocked. Willie's ships directly to your doorstep in over 40 states. Order now at drinkwillies.com and use code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, for 20% off your first order and free shipping on orders over $95, and enjoy life in the high country. That's drinkwillies.com, promo code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S.
The Pentagon law of war manual is clear on this. Attacking defenseless people. They say persons who have been rendered unconscious or otherwise incapacitated by wound, sickness, or shipwreck, such as they are no longer capable of fighting, or the combat, meaning they're out of fighting. Persons who have been incapacitated by wounds, sickness, or shipwreck are in a helpless state, and it would be dishonorable and inhumane to make them the object of attack. The Intercept has done a study on Hegseth, who's now trying to blame an admiral for ordering the killings after he was bragging and posting pictures of the cartoon with Franklin. And the Intercept says that Hegseth's actions could result in the entire chain of command being investigated for war crimes or outright murder. But I want to go back now to Canada, because when our Foreign Affairs Minister, Anita Anand, was asked in the early stages of these extrajudicial murders off the coast of Venezuela, if they were breach of international law, Ms. Anand said that it was really up to the United States to decide if it was a breach of international law. I mean, this is an outrageously dumb thing to say. In what world would you say the perpetrator of the crimes gets to decide whether those crimes are crimes? That's not how it works. And Canada has a long-standing tradition of our work on dealing with international war crimes, crimes against civilians, crimes against humanity, and that work must continue. But I want to take you back historically on why Canada has played such a role in this. On June 27th, 1918, there was a hospital ship, the Landovery Castle, heading from Halifax to Liverpool as part of the medical convoys that the Canadian Army had for the wounded and the sick. And while they were just off the coast of Ireland, they were sunk by U-boat 86 as part of the U-boat campaign against the UK and against Canada. And on that ship, there were many doctors, nurses, military personnel, sailors. And what happened next shocked the world, because the U-boats saw the survivors in the water. They rammed the lifeboats, and then they machine gunned the survivors, killing nurses, killing 234 people, and Canadians were outraged. And Canadians demanded international law step up, which hadn't really stepped up on something like this before, on the murder of helpless people at sea. And I think the killings of the people on the Landovery Castle set Canada on a path that it has never turned away from, which is that those with the guns don't get to shoot those without guns on the high seas. Those who are helpless, those who don't have power, those who are like little Hind Rajab, who was left in a car as bait while the Israeli soldiers killed those who came to save them. These are war crimes. These are the act of monsters. And we are in an age of monsters. And we're in an age of monsters when people like Pete Hegseth, one of the dumbest, most incompetent losers who's ever been appointed to anything in the United States, can put out cartoons bragging about murdering defenseless people on the high seas. It's about the war crime, but it's about trying to desensitize us, to make us go along, to think it's okay, and it's not okay. So now we see Trump's backtracking. We see Hegseth's trying to throw the admirals under the bus. We have to stay focused on these. We cannot let our humanity break down like this. We cannot let these gangster criminals like Hegseth and Trump and Putin and Netanyahu and Benny Aharon, whose now name has been put forward at the International Criminal Court. There has to be accountability. Otherwise, we go into a very, very, very dark place. So, my friends, we got to keep kicking at the darkness, and we got to keep calling it out, and we got to keep insisting that people have to do better in the age of these gangster monsters. So, Charlie Angus from Meidas Canada, thanks so much. Hit subscribe. Help us to get to 250,000. We want to keep telling these stories. Thank you, merci, and miigwech.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.